hello, it's me again. I just wanted to, first of all, I'm speaking on relationships and business. So this is my book, Live, Learn, Love with an Open Heart. Life lessons on cultivating healthy and meaningful relationships. And I think that's very important that we learn how to acknowledge and appreciate relationships for the lessons and blessings that they are. Even the ones that don't always work out, there is still a lesson and a lesson to learn. So in this book, I talk about all forms of relationships. Relationships with God, with your family, with your friends, with your finances. Yes, having a relationship with finances is a relationship, as well as a relationship with yourself. And I speak about the different types of connections. But before I get to that part, I just want to share, all relationships should be healthy, loving, and beneficial to all parties. It shouldn't be a one-sided relationship. It should be mutual, a give and take relationship. That's what you want. So in the book, I also speak about some healthy components of a relationship. So when I think about a relationship, I think about cake. You know, you want the right ingredients. So what are some of the ingredients of a healthy relationship? What do you all think makes a healthy relationship?
Communication.
Okay, good. That's
Trust. Compromise.
Okay, I have those. Good, girl. You read my book, huh? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Honesty, yes. Support. Support is a big one, and I want to share support because we are all here supporting each other. And I think the common mistake that we sometimes make about support, we always tend to think about support as in financial support. But if you like my post, if you share my post, if you come and help me clean up, if you come help me pass out flyers, if you pray for me, if you offer me a word of encouragement, all that is a form of support. So it's not always necessarily I have to spend money or you have to spend money, but support comes in different ways: financial, emotional, mental, spiritual. Support is something that we all need to do. And we're not in competition with each other. We all have gifts, we all have talents, we were all created and designed by God for a purpose. And He wants to use us for that purpose, and we have to allow Him to use us. So my girl right there, let me shade you. Shades is my thing. I met her buying a pair of shades. Hollywood is my nickname, that just means a part of my personality. But when I met her, she had some shades that I'm on. So someone actually said, well, Hollywood, you love shades, why don't you do that? And as much as I love them, I didn't think it was my thing to do. Although, you know, I may have different pairs of shades. Everyone has their own style. So I'm saying that to say you can do the same thing or have the same product as someone else, but it has your personality. We wouldn't be selling the same shades. So we can still do things and we can still support each other. So that's about support. We're not in competition. We all have gifts and talents, as I stated. So in my book, I also speak about the power of connections, and about how people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And the mistake that we sometimes make, we try to put people in categories that they don't belong in. The person comes into our life for the reason or the season, and we try to make them a lifetime person. So when they come into our life at these various times, we are meant to learn the lesson and move on. That's why the relationship ends or doesn't last as long as we would want, or we try to force it. Don't force, just flow. You're going to know when something isn't working. When you have to force it, it's not working. Now, that doesn't mean don't try to work on it and try to make it work. But if you have to do more, try to make it work than it is, then it may not be work. It may not be your thing. So we have to learn how to acknowledge, accept, and adjust. And sometimes that's hard to do as women because we don't always know how to let go. But when you acknowledge something, you acknowledge you may have a deficiency in one area, you may be lacking, or you may need some help in an area. So you have to acknowledge. And then you adjust. Okay, you know what? I need some help in this area. So let me seek someone who can help me. It may be an expert, it may be someone who has experience in that area, and they can assist you. And then you adjust. You know what? This is the area that I need help in. I have to adjust. So let me change my mentality. So that kind of, for me, was a big part when I came into finances, because we like to make money and we like to spend money. So that's why I talk about the relationship with finances. Me and finances had a kind of love-hate relationship. I loved it, and it seemed to hate me because it was always trying to get away from me. And I was working hard making the money, but when you know better, you do better. Yes. Or you should do better. We don't always, but that's the goal, to get better in all aspects of our life. So I just wanted to relate that to relationships, all types, and also the power of connections. It is very important in this season. We're declaring this is the year of the woman. We're doing all these things, this power and connection. So the person that's sitting next to you, you don't know what that person has to offer you. You don't know what that person has that you may need. Sitting at this table talking to my sister. We went to the same high school. Sitting talking to this sister, her daughter actually was at my high school, which I was a career day speaker at Friday. So just being able to connect and understand how connections and networking goes. Because anything that you're going to get in this season or at any point in time is going to be through the hands of someone else.
Amen.
So you've heard people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. So it's always good to know people. That's why you have to be kind. You have to be nice. You have to be sociable and personable and be able to talk to people because you don't know what that person has. They may be your next job. They may get you to the next level of where you're trying to get. But this morning, Bishop preached, closed mouth don't get fed. If I wasn't sitting next to her and all in my own little world and not communicating and talking to her, I wouldn't have known that we had that connection. So it's important to be who you are, to love what you do, to have a purpose and a passion. And sometimes we may not always know what our purpose is. But the thing that you're passionate about, and I believe it was you that spoke about waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Babe, I know that also well during the process of writing my book. It seemed like that was the time that I was the most productive. See, that 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I would get up and it would just flow. It would just flow. My thoughts would flow so freely. I would write. When I was in the shower, I would write. Things would just come into me, and I had to write them down. And that seemed like the time that was most productive to me. So I know about those, that time, and sacrifices. It's going to be a sacrifice. If you want it, you're going to have to work hard, and you're going to have to sacrifice something. And I know that all too well also. Sacrificing time with friends and family. Doing the things that I wanted to do. When you have a purpose and God tells you what your purpose is, there's some things that you're going to have to give up. Some things that you're not going to be able to do anymore in order for him to elevate you. Some people that you're not going to be able to hang out with because everybody isn't meant to go with you to the next level. You know, friends, we cool, we're associates, but you have to be mindful of who you have around you because everybody's not rooting for you like you're rooting for them. And it's a sad situation, but it's just life. And we as women know that all too well. It's like a crab in a barrel. You know, we want to see you do well, but just not as well as me. But that's just the reality. But that's not us. We're not that type of women. We all want to succeed. There's enough for everybody to eat. We're going to support each other. We're going to help each other. We're going to create and build these healthy, meaningful relationships. And one other thing I'd like to share with you all. So in my book, I talk about we're all on a journey, and we're all connected. Each and every one of us is connected. So as we go through life, we are all on a journey trying to get somewhere. Now, some of us reach our destination. Some of us still wandering around trying to get there. And then some of us just have no idea. But with the grace of God, you will get there. And I speak about it being a journey and how symbolic it is. I didn't think that I was going to be an author. Now in my book I speak about growing up as a child. I've always loved to read, write, speak, and act. I did a little acting, so be on the lookout. I will be gracing a few stages.
All right, yes.
On the stage, but I'm saying that to say life has a way of bringing you back to where you're meant to be.
Oh yeah.
I started out, I did it, life happened, I grew a little older because I actually started writing what would have been my first book when I was about 8 or 9 years old. Just writing about my life and experiences and different things. So as I got a little older, you know, high school and life happened, writing really wasn't on my mind that much. And then high school and college, but I've always loved to read and speak. So last year I became affiliated with an organization, All Access, with C.C. Harrison. And one of the initiatives was becoming an author. So I said, you know what? This is a sign. Let me get back to my writing. I'm going to write this book. So I met with her. She said, what you want to do? So I want to write the book. She said, okay, let's do it. So she didn't know I already had my title. I already had a tentative chapter outline because I already knew what I wanted to write about. So when I told her it's about experiences and different lessons that I've learned and the connections that I've made with people, she said, the book is about relationships. And usually when we think about relationships, we immediately think of spouse, you know, girlfriend, boyfriend, maybe family and children. And I'm like, relationships? I'm a relationship expert, and I wasn't even in a real relationship at the time. That was the funny part. But I'm like, you know what? I've had these experiences. These people have come into my life for a reason. I've learned some lessons, and some of them have been blessings. So this is what my book is about, relationships. So just know that they should be meaningful, they should be healthy, they should be loving, and it should be a give and take. We all can have them. So that's why we're here, to support each other, love on each other, and be encouraged. Do what you love what you do, and be the best version of yourself that you can be. I do have copies of my book in the back. You do get a nice autograph and a picture, Miss Moore.
You better promote.
Thank you so much. Live, learn, love with an open heart, because that's the only way to do it. The only way to give and receive the pure, unconditional love of God is to have an open heart and an open mind. That's the only way you're going to do it. So thank you all. Live, love, learn. Thank you.
All right. Amen. Yes.